He got his ass beat like a fucking wealthy liberal arts student at a fucking pro-Palestine fucking protest.
Welcome into Tapping Vegas, brought to you guys by Better and Green. We're breaking down UFC St. Louis. Our town, they're in our neck of the woods. Bobby, we're going to recap a couple fights ago, the Perez and Nicolau fight. We've been recording a couple weeks ahead, just trying to get these out so they've got some more time. But it makes it hard to do recaps, and then it also does make it hard. We don't get any of the actual money, or the method odds. So that has made it a little hard. I think we're going to start switching up our recording schedule just a little bit. To still get them out early, but be able to give you guys the recap, not 2 weeks in advance. So, Bobby, real quick, how did we do with the Nicolau Perez fight?
Yeah, in the interest of full transparency, that was not the best card for us. -3 units on that card, but overall still for the year, we are at plus 11 units on the year and 45 unit surplus. So a plus 45 of all time since the inception of the show. So last card, some highlights though, some good things that did come from that Perez card. Accuracy on the Medic method. I called the Euros Medic KO TKO of Tim Means. You called the Henry method that we hit on for that card, and we were both correct on the Perez money line.
And that was a really nice one too, because Perez was a nice little underdog there. We both kind of saw it. We were seeing through Nicolau, which I think was a pretty good favorite going in. I'm so happy that Perez won. I saw it coming, and I felt really good about it. I'm glad that we were justified in the end with that.
Yeah, definitely helped turn what could have been a really disappointing night into, a tolerable one. I'll just say that.
Yes, absolutely. When we're both on like an underdog like that hits, that really changes the night. So -3, not our best outing, but that's coming off almost plus 10 units the week before. So bounce back. And I have a good feeling about this one. Hopefully we did good in the Pantoja one. If you guys didn't see it, go back and watch it. The Pantoja Ursig card. If we did bad, go ahead. You can clown on us. The fight's over. So enjoy. Breaking it down, the first one, we're not talking about all the fights. We do have 8 of them here. Hooper, I believe he's a young guy that we've covered a couple times. Why don't you take his fight away, Bobby?
Yeah, so we have Chase Hooper versus Viacheslav Borshchev. It's good to see the UFC hasn't been in St. Louis since 2018, so it's a nice little homecoming for them. Hopefully it does well in terms of ticket sales and excitement and everything, because they actually, thankfully, did a pretty good job with this fight card for coming back to St. Louis. So I will appreciate the effort they went into giving us a pretty decent card after the fucking shit houses we've had lately. So let's get right into it without further ado. Chase Hooper, Viacheslav Borshchev. Very interesting fight. Chase Hooper, I've said before in my coverage of him, he was a guy I've been following since the Contender Series. Really like him, had a lot of high hopes for him. And his most recent fight was against Jordan Levitt, in which he secured the submission win. We called that on this show, by the way. You're welcome. It was a pretty big fucking plus number line on the submission, and I think he was even the underdog on the money line. So once again, you're welcome if you listened to us. And if you didn't, well, you better get fucking smart, because if you're not going to be smart, then you better at least be strong if you're going to be that fucking dumb. But anyway, what I'm saying with this is, to get to the fucking point, I still don't have hope in Chase Hooper. I still see the same problems I've been seeing with Chase Hooper for a long time now, which is average to, I'm just going to be brutally honest, average to mediocre striking in terms of both offensive striking and defensive striking, world-class submission game, but no way to really initiate in a meaningful way that submission game if his opponent is not playing into it. He still isn't the world's best takedown artist. He still isn't the world's best in the clinch. He still just really has to rely on his opponent being willing to engage in that grappling battle with him. And as long as it's on the feet, that is where I believe by far Chase Hooper has the most room that he absolutely has to improve on. And once again, even though the Jordan Levitt fight is his most recent and it was a relatively grappling heavy affair and it ended early in round 1, and there wasn't much of an opportunity to see that striking. Until it's proven otherwise, I just have no reason to believe his striking, defense, or offense has improved. I'm going to still say and still think until I'm shown otherwise that it's the same that it's been, and it's disappointing. And that is not what you want to have as a weakness going into this fight against Borshchev. So the only thing that bothers me right now, going off the money lines as of recording right now, May 2nd, once again, like I said, we're a little early. This card's not even supposed to take place until the 11th. But as of time of recording, Chase Hooper's a plus 164, Borshchev's a minus 198. I can't really disagree with that because Borshchev is a pretty decent striker. And if he's going to win, it's going to come by him using his striking to set up the finishes, like when he beat Dakota Bush by a liver shot in round 1, like when he got his Contender Series contract by left hook in round 2. I'm not impressed that he lost to Mark Diakese. I don't give a fuck that he was on LGBTQ plus fucking onomatopoeia magazine. He's a dog shit fighter, and that's all I'm fucking concerned with. Mike Davis, very disappointed. He lost to Mike Davis by unanimous decision. Don't really give a fuck that he beat Mahashate Hayasar by a right hook to ground strikes in round 2 in his most recent fight, which is May of last year. So we're coming on about almost a year that he's taken off. Actually, excuse me. I got a little thrown off by Tapology graying out his Sadikov fight. His Sadikov fight, Borshchev and Sadikov, is his most recent, and that was November last year, and that was a majority draw. They colored that gray since it was a draw. It threw me off. Usually grays for canceled fights on Tapology, so my mistake. But anyway, what I'm getting at with this is the majority of Borshchev fights that he actually wins, he wins through using his striking and getting a KO TKO finish thus far in his very early career. That, once again, in analyzing MMA, I've said it time and time again, and if you've been listening to this show and reading the articles and following my analysis for a while, you will have heard this numerous fucking times, and you're going to continue to hear me say this. MMA is about amplifying your strengths and amplifying your opponent's weaknesses and finding an overlap there between what you're good at and what they're shitty at, and amplifying your strengths and amplifying their weaknesses in a way that you can take advantage of. And in this particular fight, Borshchev doesn't really even have to do anything out of the fucking ordinary other than what he already does, which is start the fight standing, get the striking exchanges going. And that's already, once again, as I've said, Chase Hooper's biggest weakness is his striking defense and his striking offense. And as long as Borshchev isn't stupid enough to engage in the grappling with him, and basically, since, Hooper's not really the best fucking takedown artist, as long as Borshchev's not the one shooting takedowns, and as long as Borshchev's not pushing the initiative, I mean, I kind of see a KO TKO for Borshchev. So I'd be really curious to see what the prop money on that would be like. So what are you thinking, Ben?
We're not going to have to spend too much longer on this fight, Bobby, because you fucking nailed it right on the head, dude. I have it exactly the same way. Chase Hooper, poor striking defense, and puts himself in bad positions and lacks that strength, where I think it's going to be a huge problem against Big B, as I'm going to call him, against Big B, because he stuffs takedowns and transitions straight to the ground and pound. So either he's going to get knocked out cold from his strike defense, or he is going to try to grapple, and he's not going to be able to. So I also see a knockout. He's a kickboxer too. So this dude, he's really good standing up and striking. I don't think Chase Hooper at plus 164, I'm kind of surprised this hasn't crawled up into the 200s yet.
Yeah, I think that's still a lot of people really buying into the hype of Hooper and the fact that he is coming off that sub win over Levitt, because of all things that didn't make fucking sense to me. That's the fight where he should have been the favorite and where he should have had a lot of momentum against Levitt, and he was the underdog, and that's how he capitalized and took advantage of the sub prop, because the sub prop was even astronomical compared to what it fucking should have been. And now you're telling me that this is, really close odds on a fight where he is very clearly outclassed in the striking department, his biggest and most glaring weakness. It's a bit fucky to me.
I can't agree more. We're going to transition onto the next fight because I think we have got that one nailed down to a T. I'm glad you're on the same side of me for that one because I felt very strong about that. This next fight, we're talking about Charles Johnson and Jake Hadley. Charles Johnson, he's got those twitchy movements. He transitions well while he's on the ground, but he loses decisions. Looking at Hadley, he's got very good forward pressure, utilizes his kicks. He's strike heavy, but he will mix in takedowns, and he is a rear naked choke specialist. I've got Hadley on this one. I think that line's close enough to just take the Hadley money line and not play around too much with it. Charles Johnson's always dangerous. Jake Hadley, he's just younger, and I think he's just got more going for him at this point in his career. What do you think, Bobby?
I'm glad you're on the Jake Hadley side because Jake Hadley was a guy who is pretty close to being included in my favorite fighter list that we came out with a few weeks ago. I really do like Jake Hadley. I know he's lost some momentum in his last fight, August last year against Cody Durden. He lost a unanimous decision. That's an example of you can't just look at the record and see the whole fucking story, because if you watch that fight live like I did, that was actually a very close fight, very back and forth, razor thin. It wasn't a one-sided ass whipping by Cody Durden by any means. As a matter of fact, Hadley actually had some really deep fucking sub attempts locked in on Cody Durden, at least at 2 points, maybe even 3 throughout the course of that 15-minute fight that I just have no fucking clue how Cody Durden survived. So, yeah, I think this is a case of people just kind of shitting a little bit on Jake Hadley to have it this fucking close against Charles Johnson of all people. No disrespect to Charles Johnson, but he's a St. Louis guy. Obviously, this is a St. Louis card, and usually they try to give the hometown fighters an edge and give them some kind of pick-me fights to get the crowd hype and content. So that's why I'm a little shocked that they're giving him Jake Hadley, because this is not exactly a winnable fight for him, especially since in his last 4 fights in the UFC, he's only won 1 fight. He's lost 3. He lost to Ode Osborne February last year, split decision. Lost to Cody Durden, their common opponent, unanimous decision. April last year, lost to Rafael Estevam, unanimous decision. November last year, beat Azat Maksum February of this year by unanimous decision. And, yeah, that's pretty much his last 4 fights. 3 losses, 1 win. That does not inspire much confidence. And while it is good to see how active he's been, that actually leads me to be pretty damn concerned that he's taken all these fights in very short span here. Like that April last year fight was right after February last year. His longest stretch of time off has been from April last year to November last year. And then he fought right back February of this year. So not much time off, which the positives, we know the positives. He's staying sharp. He's staying in training camp. He's having probably an easier time making weight. But I think that it's just going to be too much because he's also not giving himself, for the negatives, time to recover, time to actually win fights. If you're taking short notice fights, that's great if you're actually winning, but you're just fucking yourself and you're accelerating your way out the door if you're losing like he is. And so I feel bad for Johnson because I actually think Hadley's going to get a finish, and this is going to be a y'all must have forgot performance for White Kong. He's going to get back in the win column. He's going to dominate fucking Charles Johnson, unfortunately, in front of the hometown crowd, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a sub.
Are you going to go sub or are you going to go the double method?
I'd be curious what the odds on KO TKO versus sub are, but I think I'm so confident because Hadley is primarily a grappler and because he does engage in so many sub attempts, like the sub attempts he had on Durden, the triangle choke he locked up November 2022 against Carlos Candelario, and a rear naked choke to get his Contender Series contract, rear naked choke in Bellator, rear naked choke in the regional scene. Like, he's got a lot of sub finishes. I'm just going to go straight sub. I don't think Charles Johnson's going to have nearly the pedigree and credentials and skill grappling wise as Jake Hadley, and I just think Jake Hadley's going to slice right through him.
I like it, man. I like your conviction. Another guy, you were telling me that you're seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter. I haven't seen nearly as much, so maybe you can give me some of your knowledge about Robelis and the stuff you've been seeing.
And Despaigne, is that this heavyweight fight?
Yep.
I'm going to keep this short and fucking sweet and simple because everybody's slobbing on Despaigne's knob. All I've heard about this fucking guy is this big fucking Cuban Francis Ngannou clone motherfucker. And don't get me wrong, you know, he's only been in the UFC this is his second fucking fight. So about to be 2 fights in the UFC. He's making a lot of noise because he got an 18-second round one knockout on the O'Malley Vera 2 card at 299 March of this year. But it was against Josh fucking Parisian. Josh Parisian should have been cut fucking 5 fights ago. He got his ass beat like a fucking wealthy liberal arts student at a fucking pro-Palestine fucking protest on the goddamn campus by the state troopers. He's getting his ass fucking beat all the goddamn time now. He's about to get fucking cut from college and have a felony record and be $300,000 in debt. I don't know what to tell you. Josh Parisian ain't exactly a world beater, so knocking him out in 18 seconds is kind of what I expect. It's kind of the standard. It's not really deviating from that and being some type of accomplishment. And then other than that, I don't really know what to make of his Titan FC fight and his 3 Fury FC fights. I don't have much to go off of other than people glucking on the dude. And I mean, I guess I can't really fucking digress. I don't have much to go off of when you're giving them Waldo Cortes-Acosta, who just beat the fucking corpse of Andrei Arlovski this past January that they wrote out by decision, mind you. When you can't knock out Andrei Arlovski in fucking 2024, you seriously need to just fucking retire voluntarily at that point because it's so goddamn embarrassing. You might as well be the president of the Failures Club along with all the other fucking degenerates in the comment section predicting fights after they happened. So what I'm getting at with this is, I mean, what am I supposed? Waldo Cortes-Acosta beat Lucas Brzezinski, the guy that beat fucking Johnny Walker's big little brother. Like, once again, whoop-de-fucking-do. He lost to Marco Sogeria de Lima. That's pretty fucking concerning. I'm starting to have fucking alarms go off. Beat Chase Sherman. Can you tell how excited I am at the names that Waldo Cortes-Acosta's beat? Jared Vanderera? Is Jared Vanderera even in the fucking UFC? You tell me. I don't know. Robelis Despaigne. He's probably, let's see what the fucking money line is, because I would be absolutely shocked if it wasn't something absurd like minus 300. I'm being dead ass, as my New Yorkers would say. I'd be fucking shocked if it's not plus 500. Let's see, because like I said, there's a whole lot of saliva going around the man's member. So
I got it right here. I got him at minus 166.
That is fucking shocking. Get in on this. This is where being so early helps. Go to DraftKings, FanDuel, fucking your bookie across the fucking lake that's, you know, got mob ties. Shout out to Drake, fucking working for Tony Soprano. Wherever you place your bets, get in the fucking car, do 90-0, and go there now before this does turn into a minus 500 or something fucking stupid once more people start choking on the man. Because, yeah, that should be minus 162 for Despaigne to plus 136 for Waldo Cortes. I don't know what's going on, but take advantage. Take advantage while they're asleep at the wheel, like I like to say, and put it on KO TKO, because Despaigne is clearly the guy that they're building as a superhuman genetic fucking freak from Cuba, just like they did Yoel. And I actually like Yoel. Yoel's good, legend, all that shit, but I just don't think Despaigne's that guy. I mean, it's heavyweight. Anything can happen. All it takes is one punch, blah, 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 blah. All the trite bullshit you hear from everybody else. What I'm getting at, Despaigne KO TKO, hurry up. Hurry up. How do you see it?
Dude, I'm getting nervous because we're seeing very, very eye to eye on this one. So we might be screwing the pooch, but the dude's 6'7", so the dude, it looks like he could step over the cage, like with his stride. The dude is massive. 84-inch reach is insane also. That's a crazy number. So he's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage against another guy, which if anybody's going to beat Despaigne, it's going to be some guy that can grapple him and really take it to him. If you're a striker, which is exactly what Cortes is, you're the type of guy who's going to get chinned. You're the type of guy who's going to get knocked out. I don't see Waldo Cortes-Acosta having much of a chance at all. In fact, Robelis Despaigne, Olympic and World Taekwondo medalist. Like, this dude's is not a joke. He's newer to our scene. Dude's been doing this for a while. They're similar in age. So like you said, at minus 166, I'm taking the knockout because I feel pretty confident that that's what's going to happen. If you want to take money line, you can, but I mean, KO just, God, it feels like free money.
Yeah, and once again, definitely take advantage of this before everybody else finds out about this fight while it's kind of getting lost in the sauce while we're so early on it. Take advantage because you're not going to see this get any fucking better than it is now. It's only going to get worse the longer you wait.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I posted on Twitter a while back. Like, I was pretty high on Emma Stone to win Actress of the Year for the Oscars at like plus 160. By the time I tweeted it out, it was already at like minus 142. Like, these lines move quick, so you have to get in while the getting's good because these lines can move a lot and they can move a lot fast. So this one's buried a little bit. We're on it, Bobby. We are on this one like glue.
Fucking call me butter because I'm on a roll, baby.
Let's go, man. Let's go. And this is a guy I'm really excited about too, because we tried to cover him and the fight actually got canceled. So I'm glad that he came up again fairly soon, that we can actually cover him. That's Mateusz Rebecki versus Diego Ferreira. Dude, I liked Rebecki in the last fight. I still like Rebecki in this fight, man. He stalks forward, gets the TKO by overwhelming guys. His strength is unreal. Unreal for the division. Dude's built like a brick shit house. Good takedowns. He can win with all methods. Diego Ferreira, he struggles to fit in the takedowns, and with that power that Rebecki has, I mean, I feel like he's going to get slammed. We could be looking for a slam knockout here. He's reckless. Diego Ferreira has gas concerns. He will quit on a fight. We saw he got like a knee, I think, and like the towards the back of his ribs, and he just waved at the ref and like waved the fight off. And if you're going to be like that against, I forget who it was against, but that against that guy, I can't imagine what you're going to be like against Rebecki. I'm going to take Rebecki by double method. He's at minus 245, so it's kind of a nasty money line number. But I can't see a world where Ferreira wins. What do you think, Bobby?
Yeah, I can't disagree much with you on this, so I'm just going to add a little bit of extra detail that you didn't go over, but you hit the nail pretty much on the fucking head. But to flesh it out a little bit further, Carlos Diego Ferreira, when I first saw these odds, I was like, yeah, what the fuck? These are some of the most drastic odds we've seen so far. Why is it that way with plus 210 for Carlos Diego and minus 258 for Mateusz Rebecki? And I started doing some little, research here, and it's because in his last 4 fights, Carlos Diego has lost 3 fights and only won 1 fight. And that fight that he did win was May of last year against Michael Johnson, knocked him out by KO punch. Michael Johnson, St. Louis guy, legend, great fighter, been in the game a long time. Time for him to hang up the gloves. Let's just say that. So I'm not too impressed that your last win in 4 fights was against Michael Johnson. The fight that you were talking about where he just kind of gave up was against Mateusz Gamrot, another Polish guy with a very similar name to Rebecki. That was a TKO submission, knee to the body. That was December of 2021. So he's had a long layoff. It only gets worse from here, kids. So December 18th, 2021 to May 20th, 2023, long layoff, and has only won 1 fight. Before Mateusz Gamrot, the other Polish guy had him fucking TKO'd. Gregor Gillespie TKO'd him with elbows and punches. May 8th, 2021, Beneil Dariush won a split decision against him February 2021. So,
and
Carlos
Beneil's
Diego
been getting posterized too. Beneil has been getting dominated.
Yes, so that's not exactly a win that has aged very well since then. That is definitely a win that's aged like fucking milk and not wine. So, some other problems with Carlos Diego Ferreira. Around the time of the Gregor Gillespie fight, he was rightfully looked at as a legitimate contender and threat to the 155-pound division where this fight takes place. And that was because at the time that Beneil Dariush lost didn't look so bad. And before that, he had a rear naked choke over Anthony Pettis, unanimous decision over Merbak Tazimov, Rustam Khabibulov, unanimous decision, TKO'd Kyle Nelson, TKO'd Jared Gordon, unanimous decision over Olivier Aubin Mercier. So he is on a 6-fight win streak, and he has just been skidding ever since then. So some other problems, though. I don't think he should be looked at anymore as like a viable threat or viable challenger to this division after he's been on this skid. And, moving the needle for me has not occurred after the Michael Johnson KO because he's 39 years old, long periods of inactivity. And from 2016 to 2018, where was he? Was he injured? What happened? Because he had a huge fucking layoff there. 2014. He's been in the UFC since 2014 and 39 years old. Read the fucking writing on the wall. It's not looking good. Let's just say that. There are genetic freaks, there are marvels, there are people like Yo Romero, Randy Couture, etc. that exist out there that defy expectations and defy, the age gap and all that bullshit. I don't think Carlos Diego Ferreira is that guy. His best chance at this fight is trying to take advantage of the grappling before he's too tired, because even after round one in a 15-minute fight, if he's not getting the sub each round, his fucking chances go drastically further and further down, because his best chance is a crazy sub attempt within like the first round. If he doesn't get that, he's fucking done. His striking, offense, and defense, he's basically like Chase Hooper. It's not any better at all compared to Rebecki. Rebecki clearly has the edge there. And as long as Rebecki doesn't put himself in compromising situations and get a little carried away with his head placement and, just his placement in general, if he decides to initiate the grappling exchanges, I think he'll have another easy night. And just like Borshchev, I think he'll get the KO TKO, and it plays out in kind of a similar fashion to that Chase Hooper fight.
So, again, you're going with the KO TKO, not the double?
Yeah, KO TKO. I just think he's going to be able to just overwhelm, like you were talking about, how he does to guys. Carlos Diego Ferreira is a prime candidate to be overwhelmed with his subpar striking defense and his subpar striking offense, and he's just going to get probably ground and pounded. I think he will at least be smart enough to try to, put up some offense off of his back, try to go for sub attempts, but I think Rebecki's just going to be smart. He's going to be aware of his positioning. He's not going to put his limbs in compromising positions, and he's going to get a pretty good ground and pound finish, if I'm being very precise.
I like it, man. I like it. And you know what? This next guy is one of our St. Louis boys. One of the guys that we always root for. We got Sean Woodson. Why don't you take his fight away, man?
Yeah, Sean Woodson versus Alex Caceres. This is a 145-pound fight. Shout out to Sean Woodson. He is a good fighter. He's a boy of this show, a guy that we do enjoy watching and we'll always root for and wish him continued success in his career. I don't know how the fuck Alex Caceres has suddenly had a career resurgence right now where people actually think he's worth a fuck. I always try not to be too brutal, but gosh damn, it's just a bit annoying with fan perception when there's a 35-year-old in the 145-pound division that's got a lot of miles and people are acting like he's some serious fucking threat to the division. And Alex Caceres has been in the UFC for a long time now. Alex Caceres has been in the UFC. I'm actually fucking surprised. Alex Caceres has been in the UFC since 2011.
Damn.
I thought he's been in the UFC since 2014, which in and of itself isn't good, but 2011 makes it even worse. His debut was March 26, 2011, and he lost by rear naked choke. And then he lost his second fight by rear naked choke, and then he finally won his third fight in November 2011 when he moved up to bantamweight. So, long career, 35 years old, a lot of miles. He's fought and lost to a who's who. Lost to Uriah Faber, got choked out. Lost to Yair Rodriguez. Lost to Jason Knight. Lost to Cron Gracie. Beat Chase Hooper. Beat Steven Peterson. Beat Kevin Kroom. Beat Choi Seung Woo. Beat Julian Erosa and beat Daniel Pineda. Now, aside from Julian Erosa, and Julian Erosa is very hot and cold, kind of spotty, unfortunately, as much as I like the guy. Who really stands out to you? Steven Peterson? That instantly made me think of Keith Peterson, the fucking ref. Who is Steven Peterson? Chase Hooper? We've covered Chase Hooper so many times on this show, and we just covered him again. I'm not going into any more detail on fucking Chase Hooper. So, this is my point. What makes a guy who in his last 4 fights is 2-2 so fucking special? Because around the time of the Sadiq Youssef fight, when he fought Sadiq Youssef 2 years ago and lost, people really thought he was going to make some type of run in the division, and I just don't fucking see it. I just don't see it. He's primarily a striker. He has very limited grappling, very limited ground game, as evidenced by his numerous as evidenced by his numerous losses that he has on his record due to various chokes, especially rear naked chokes. He has more rear naked chokes than some fucking people's moms out there. That's how fucking bad it is. And it's a very glaring weakness in his game. But where people think he's this amazing fucking striker because he does this kung fu LARPing role play cosplay bullshit, I don't see it. I don't see anything amazing that when I see his striking makes me think, wow, Alex Caceres, he's so fucking good. You're a casual if you don't like him. You're a casual. I get so fucking sick of hearing I'm a casual because I don't like fucking Alex Caceres. I just don't like the guy. And I'm going to stand on fucking business and I'm going to double down and say that fucking Sean Woodson's going to pick him apart and Alex Caceres isn't going to have fucking nothing to offer him. And he's going to lose 2 in a row because he's coming off a loss August last year to Giga Chikadze. And he's going to fucking lose to Sean Woodson. And then honestly, at this point, he should probably bow down out of the fucking division and try to hang up while he still has some fucking respectability about himself and just call it a career. He's had a very long, illustrious career, been in there with some big names, won some, lost some. It's a fucking accomplishment just to make it in the UFC and last as long as he has. And he's a legend and all that shit that, once again, I shouldn't have to fucking say when I'm just giving my opinion about this shit. But Sean Woodson's just going to be the better man that night. And I think he's just going to be long and rangy. He's going to be precise. He's going to pick them apart. I don't think he'll be able to get the finish, unfortunately, because Caceres is a tough motherfucker. And if you're not grappling, he's hard to finish, but he'll easily cruise to a unanimous decision win, just like he did against Charles Jourdain January of this year. What do you got?
You fucking stand on business, Bobby. Do it, man. I'm with you, Sean Woodson also. If you don't want me to pick Sean Woodson, give me a grappler. Give me a wrestler. Stop giving Sean Woodson these strikers. And
exactly
the dude's size, his height and his reach. So he's coming in at a 5-inch reach advantage. And that's because Caceres actually has a pretty good reach for his division. I mean, Woodson goes in with we've seen an 8-inch reach advantage. Like, he goes in and pieces people up. This dude's a Gold Glove boxer, rangy, so accurate. Fuck it, I'm with you, dude. I'm standing on it. I'm standing on with Sean Woodson minus 185 for him. Oh, I don't know, man. Because I kind of feel like he could get the knockout too, or just a TKO. And at minus 185, I would love to do the knockout decision, but I feel like that might make it from minus 185 to minus 180. I feel like that's not going to take anything off for us.
Yeah.
I'm probably just going to stick to the money line, but damn, I love Sean Woodson in this fight. And I really, going forward, if you're going to give Sean Woodson a striker, I'm probably taking Sean Woodson every time.
Yeah. I'm really glad you mentioned that. That's perfect. If I don't want to see him lose, but if you're trying to do quality matchmaking, if you're trying to actually give him a challenge, yeah, please, for the love of God, stop giving him strikers. Give him a grappler, and then we'll see what happens. Because as long as you keep feeding him strikers, especially average ass or mediocre strikers like fucking Caceres, it's other than a freak fucking occurrence, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point.
Fucking STL represent. STL represent, homie.
And I get why they're doing it on this card because, it is a St. Louis card. So, hey, fine. But just going forward, until further notice, until Sean Woodson faces a grappler, if he's just going up against mediocre-ass creative character fighters on their fucking bum-ass strikers, Sean Woodson.
Love it. Love it, dude. Next, we got Alonzo Menifield versus Carlos Ulberg. Looking at this one, Alonzo has no top game, which shout out to your mom. Takedowns are strength based. He's got some knockout power, but he does leave big counter windows. So I think he is definitely open. If he doesn't land a strike, then he's kind of ripe for the pickings. He's got good endurance, which I like a lot. Ulberg's fast, very agile for the division. He's got knockout power too, but he's got low hands that make him vulnerable to big shots. Both these guys, I feel like both of them could absolutely take each other out. And that's why this is a little bit delayed, but this is my Nuck If You Buck fight of the night.
Ooh, interesting.
I think these two guys are going to just knock the shit out of each other. And I'm actually going to go with Alonzo at the plus 180. a little bit older. Both of them, last 5 fights, Carlos Ulberg 5-0, Alonzo 4-0-1. So both these guys are pretty streaky. Alonzo also, he's got that Muay Thai, whereas Ulberg's kickboxing. So they can both knock each other out, but maybe Alonzo has a little bit better grappling. At the plus 180 price, I think I like it too much to not be on him. What do you think?
I'm going to have a full disclaimer here and just let you know outright I fucking hate Carlos Ulberg. Full disclaimer here. I've had to pull over some people in the past since he made his debut in 2021 on social media forums, kind of like a police officer, and I've had to pull over numerous people for riding Ulberg's dick without a license, and I just can't fucking take it anymore, man. The man is only in the UFC. He made his UFC debut. Do you know who Carlos Ulberg lost to in his UFC debut in 2021?
No clue. Who was it?
It's a guy we covered recently, and he lost to a fucking 40-year-old.
Was it Njoku?
It was Kennedy motherfucking Njoku. He lost to in his debut, and he got TKO'd by Kennedy Njoku to add insult to injury.
Night.
He's only in the UFC because he's fucking Israel Adesanya's little fucking teammate. It's like using your boy's name at the club to get some pussy. That's basically what it is. That's the only reason why he's in the fucking UFC, because he got TKO'd in his debut by Kennedy Njoku. 2022, they just started fucking feeling sorry for him, like your buddy that can't get fucked, so he gets a pity fuck by the girl at the bar at the fucking closing time when she's so drunk she doesn't even know her own name and she's just as desperate as he is. So he fucking unanimous decisioned Fabio Charant, don't even know who that is, round 1 TKO against Teflon and Chukwueze. So he got a little bit of revenge against the fucking Nigerians that he's supposed to love, since Israel Adesanya is Nigerian. And then he fucking TKO'd Nikolay Nagaramanov, or however the fuck you say it. And it's like, okay, you submitted Ja Dong Ung and you TKO'd Ihor Pretoria. We covered Ihor Pretoria not that long ago, and he's dog shit. And I think if he's still scheduled on that card, that I don't even remember where we talked about him, but it was recently.
I think 301.
What's that?
I think it's 301.
Oh, yeah. If it's 301, then speaking to you from the future where that fight's like 2 days from taking place, I'm going to call it. He probably fucking lost. So I'm not impressed by Carlos Ulberg. I'm also, don't get me wrong now, I'm by no fucking means impressed by Alonzo Menifield either. But classic example, giant douche turd sandwich. If you're giving me one that's a pretty heavy fucking underdog like Menifield is for no fucking reason and no evidence to me of why the odds are that drastic, I'm going to go with the underdog also. I'm also going to go with Menifield, and I'm going to go by TKO because I'm not sold on Carlos Ulberg. And if you want to come at me in the comments, and I will once again issue you a citation for riding dick without a license, because I've seen no fucking proof of what's going on in this.
We're getting dangerously close, dude. We're getting dangerously close to a unanimous on these. Another St. Louis guy who kind of snuck his way onto the card is Buckley. He's been in the news quite a bit, especially after his big win against my boy Luque. You were right on that one. I picked Luque, you picked Buckley, so you get to take Buckley.
Yeah, Joaquin Buckley versus this Russian motherfucker, Nursulton Ruziboev. So this is interesting. As much as I do like Buckley, I am a little bit concerned about some factors here. The short notice nature of the fight, the fact that, Nursulton Ruziboev is, a fucking, is he Kazakhstan? Is he a Borat motherfucker?
Uzbekistan.
Okay, I thought he was from, what's Borat's hometown? Kazakhstan?
Kazakhstan.
All right. Hey, he knocked out Cedricus Dumbass. That's pretty cool. I fucking hate that guy. That was March of this year. Oh, I think that's the fight. I think that's the fight where Dumbass was whining because he felt like he got poked or some shit leading up to that. He was whining about some fucking fight this year. I think that was the one he was whining about. Yep, because he won against Abu Azaitar and Brundage. Yeah, so his last fight, Nursulton Ruziboev's last fight, was March of this year. Uppercut and ground punch finish. Cedricus Dumbass. Dumbass was really upset because he felt like he got eye poked before it. That's what led to the finish, blah, 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 blah. All I got to say is cry harder, Dumbass. I don't really give a shit. Bruno Ferreira, counter right to ground and pound, round one finish. Pavel Masaki armbar, round one finish, but that wasn't in the UFC. So, wow, this guy's only had 2 UFC fights.
Yeah.
So, in terms of that, Buckley's clearly going to have the edge there in terms of UFC experience. But this is looking, the further I go down, Tapology, suspiciously like one of those heavily doctored Russian, Central European, Central Asian, that part of the world, doctored fake Tapology bullshit pages. I'm starting to see some concerning shit here, like some GFC and some Goretz FC and some Fight Show and some shit that nobody's ever fucking heard of. And I'm starting to wonder if there's not a little bit of some cooking going on this resume here. Starting to wonder if he's not applying for an aeronautical fucking degree job and the man barely passed fucking trade school or whatever. So, little fucking suspicious here that the man can't even wire your fucking electrical outlets together correctly, and yet he's trying to go to fucking NASA and work on a space shuttle. So, starting to be a little bit fishy. Joaquin Buckley, UFC experience edge, but not overall fight experience edge, because if this Tapology record's to be believed, Ruziboev 34 wins, 8 losses, 2 draws, 2 no contest, and Joaquin Buckley's 18-6. Pretty clean record there. So, all that to be said, Joaquin Buckley, obviously, KO TKO of Luque. We just mentioned that. Unanimous decision over Alex Morano. KO TKO'd Andre Fialho. Lost to Chris Kirst in 2022. This is kind of a little tough fight. As much as I like Buckley, this is a little difficult to predict. But you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to roll with the hometown boy on this one. Let's check out the odds here right quick.
I got Buckley at minus 148 money line.
Yeah, it's a bit close. Once again, I get how, coming off short notice on the Luque fight is definitely playing a role on this. But I'm just really concerned about how little UFC experience his opponent has. And like I said, that Tapology record really seems a little bit doctored. So this is my most concerning pick, the one I'm least kind of sure on overall. But still, I'm going to go with Buckley on this one. I think he's going to make some noise. This is a good opportunity to showcase himself in front of a fan-favorite audience in his hometown area, get a nice little good KO TKO finish over Ruziboev. And, we're going to have to wait a little bit longer to see if Ruziboev is genuinely UFC material or if he's just, riding off a heavily padded, doctored Russian, Central European, Central Asian record. So that's what I'm going with. Joaquin Buckley, KO TKO. What do you got?
Being on the wrong side of Luque, I watched that fight, and then when I went back to do my research for this, I watched it again. One of the reasons I picked Luque is because I thought Buckley had a big gap in his grappling. It looked much better in that fight against Luque. I know that he has a little bit of wrestling in his background. He looked a lot better. I think he was really prepared for Luque coming in, and I think that that's going to be kind of like the same style that Ruziboev has. Ruziboev, he's like a BJJ guy also. Charges forward with low hands. Ruziboev does. No notable wins I have on him. So I think Buckley is going to be more prepared in this fight. And he didn't take a lot of damage in that Luque fight, so the quick turnaround doesn't concern me too much. Buckley wanted to be on this card, so he's going to come ready to win. You're not trying to push yourself into a card so you can go and lose at home in front of your friends. He's going to do everything he can to win. And you mentioned a couple of fighting clubs and federations that Ruziboev was in, but you missed one. Did you see the one that he fought in? Very nice fights.
Is it really fucking very nice fights?
No, but he fucking should be, man. This is Uzbekistan, dude. He's looked good in some of the stuff that I've seen. But once again, he's had 2 UFC fights. He has to fight a guy like Buckley, and he's getting Buckley at home. And you're getting this line. I think this line is because of how close it is. But I think Buckley, just in general, is better. He's at home. So I think that's why we're not seeing this even closer. But I like it. I really like it at that minus 148. Yeah, I love Buckley. And to see if we can go completely on the same side of all the fights in, puff the chest out a little bit, get hyped for it. We got Derrick Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento. Derrick Lewis is at huge power. We know his balls are hot. He wants to stand. He's got some sloppy ass takedowns, no striking defense. He gasses and just prays for a fucking knockout. Rodrigo, I was incredibly impressed with his takedowns for a heavyweight. I was very, very impressed with how he was getting guys down. He does run forward with no defense, which, haha, ding ding. That's an opportunity to get chinned right there by Mr. Lewis. But he's a sub-seeker, and I just feel like he's got more paths to win against Mr. Derrick Lewis than people think. He's at a plus 140 minus dog. Derrick Lewis at minus 166 right now. Everybody knows Derrick Lewis. Probably one of the most popular heavyweights. It's like him and Tai Tuivasa are guys that just aren't that great, but they're big names. And so I think there's going to be a lot of money on Derrick Lewis. And we've seen a lot of, we just called Perez versus Nicolau. This year I've seen a lot of upsets in that main event. I think we see one again here with Rodrigo. Bobby, are we going to make it a full 8 for 8 on the same side?
Derrick Lewis, I wish I knew how to quit you.
No,
I wish I knew how to quit you, Derrick Lewis.
Oh, don't do it, Bobby.
It's tough. Elaborate on this grappling. I see he has submission wins, but you really concern me when he just charges forward. When you say shit,
I know.
It's tough because Derrick Lewis is the most unpredictable guy because we just saw in his last fight him get completely dominated in the most boring fucking 25-minute fucking decision and a 3-month span of boring main event fucking decisions. That one stood out as the shittiest, shiniest turd in the fucking porta potty of the fucking Mojave Desert. Just sweltering in the fucking heat, festering. How terrible that fucking fight against Marco Sergio de Lima was. Actually, not Marco Sergio. That's the guy he beat. Who the fuck was it? Jelton Almeida. There we go. Jelton Almeida, when he got fucking just not even smothered, because that implies domination. It was like, it's what all the fucking casuals and weirdos out there say when they talk about two guys just on top of each other, like softcore porn and shit. That's what that fucking fight between Derrick Lewis and Jelton Almeida was. That's the fight that you tell all your friends about and they're all hyped up and you fucking bring them over to the house and you guys kick back and have a nice little fucking time watching fights. And that's the one that you introduce them to, and then they fucking hate you for the rest of their life and they never watch again. That's the fucking luck you have with that type of shit. But by the same token, Derrick Lewis is also the knockout king, the leader in knockouts in UFC history across all fucking divisions. And he's kind of made a career preying off guys like this, who like Marcin Tybura, who like fucking Victor Pesta. Let me go through Derrick Lewis's resume of guys with very similar fucking skill sets like this that he's just crumpled and just fucking destroyed. Marco Sergio de Lima. This is kind of my main thing here. This fight is just giving me Marco Sergio de Lima vibes when he just flying knee knockout fucking Sergio de Lima in like 15 seconds. Once again, Derrick Lewis is fucking spotty, hot and cold. He wins one, he loses one. He's like, you just never know what the fuck's going to happen to him. But what I'm getting at with this is, for all of his losses, he's also Alexei Olenek. The guy who is a fucking master of one specific sub, did it really well, caught a lot of people with it. Derrick Lewis took his fucking head off of him. Let's see. Who else? Marcin Tybura, I mentioned him. Shamil Abdulkarimov, when he fought him, Shamil was actually decent. Gabriel Gonzaga was decent. Victor Pesta, like, these are guys who kind of are pretty good fucking grapplers, and they just couldn't get it going against him. And I just don't know, man. The main thing that also concerns me is Derrick Lewis absolutely destroyed Chris Dawkhouse like it was fucking nothing in round one. And Nascimento was pretty brutally KO'd by him. And I'm not trying to use MMA math here by any means, but that is not a win that has aged well at all. That's another win that has aged like milk for Nascimento. Chris Dawkhouse isn't even in the UFC any fucking more. And Derrick Lewis just was the guy that started that. And you know, this is another case with Nascimento of like when Charles Oliveira kept fighting Nick Lentz fucking 3 times, and nobody asked for that, and nobody gave a shit about that. Like, the fucking rubber match with Dontel Mays has to happen, folks, because, you know, he's got 2 fucking wins over Dontel Mays. We have to see this fight a 3rd time. And then a split decision over Alil Latifi May of last year, not good. Split decision over Tanner Boser, not fucking good. Did have a TKO win over Alan Badeau in 2021, but that was overturned because Nascimento pissed hot for an ADHD drug. So, you know, I don't know. He's not got very many fights in the UFC. It's tough. I could easily see it going the other way, but I'm actually going to disagree with you. And I think the longer this goes on, I think people probably are not going to put money on Derrick Lewis. I would actually think the money line will probably edge closer to Nascimento once people start looking into the record and see how Derrick Lewis has been. Unfortunately, as one of the biggest Derrick Lewis fans out there in the twilight of his career for a few years now, I think people are going to start to put the money on Nascimento. And I just really hope win, lose, or draw, Derrick Lewis hangs up the gloves here very, very shortly while he can still go out with his head held high and with his legacy intact. Because I don't know, man. This is, besides this and the Buckley fight, this is the toughest one for me. And I'm just going to stick with Derrick Lewis. It's going to be the only one I dissent on. I could easily fucking see it going the other way and Nascimento wet blanket him or even lock up the fucking sub to make it an embarrassingly early night and just add insult to injury and further confirm what we already know, which is that Derrick Lewis should have hung it up like 2-3 fucking years ago now. But Derrick Lewis is who Derrick Lewis is. As far as heavyweight main events that I've been railing against for months now, this is probably one of the more entertaining ones that you could have cobbled together. So it's not exactly the best headliner for a main event spot in 2024, but it's damn sure not the worst after the dog shit we've been putting up with these past few months. But yeah, I hope Derrick Lewis gets it done. I'm going to say KO, TKO, and I think the money line is going to edge closer to Nascimento as we get closer to this fight. So.
Well then, Bobby, what would your haymaker be? Which one, which method, which fighter? What are you thinking?
Man, that's tough because these odds are kind of fucky on this card, and without seeing methods and everything else, we're always just kind of going blind into this lately. So, I guess since the haymaker is designed to be kind of like your biggest profit margin pick, you know, your biggest like let's fucking go type pick, and he's already the underdog on the money line. I'm gonna say that once again, as of time of recording, this is May 2nd. I think it's only gonna get more in Ulberg's favor with no fucking merit to it once again, other than the Israel Adesanya coattails. He's riding so fucking hard, he's got rug burn. I'm gonna say that Menifield KO TKO by the time the fight actually takes place is gonna be looking pretty fucking juicy.
I love it, dude. I love it, dude. That's crazy. I'm on the Menifield with you, so I hope it happens. Anything before we get out of here?
No, just thanks to everybody for liking, subscribing. We're still trying out some new shit, still working through this, still trying to figure it out and give you quality content that nobody else is, and even being honest with you when we fuck it up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We try to be unlike anything else out there with the MMA betting. We try to give you guys our best insights. And, you know, right now we have been beating the hell out of Vegas. So maybe the last card wasn't the greatest. That's okay. Maybe last card, as the time you guys were watching this with the UFC 301, maybe we fucking killed it. Which we very well could have, because I felt pretty good about that one. I feel really good about this one. It's on our neck of the woods, so maybe there's just something in the air, and we got a feeling for this one. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys haven't yet, we have all of the sports over on Better and Green. We have basketball with the NBA playoffs, hockey with the NHL playoffs. We're going to have a little bit of MLB stuff coming out. We've got fantasy football stuff coming out. And if you haven't yet, check out the social media app for sports bettors called Sharps. Use our code BET269. That's BET, BETT 269. You guys can tail our play straight from the app. Press the whale tail. It'll take you straight to the books. You can place your bets from there. And guys, I hope you guys enjoy this card. I'm really happy the UFC's coming back to St. Louis. And we'll see you guys again very shortly for the next card. Peace, guys.
Peace.
better start listening to the Better in Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? Listening to cash out, that's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover old spot from the bottom to the top, hey. Shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome, welcome to our podcast, Better in Green.